Hey, what's up you guys? My name's Tyler Rugge. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about a video that was posted pretty recently by the LaBrant family. I was honestly really debating doing this because, I don't know, sometimes I feel like making videos about other people is just kind of petty, and I usually just make videos about people blatantly doing, really obviously harmful things to animals, because I feel like there's no excusing doing harmful things to animals, especially when it's like obviously harmful and you're just using it for content. So I've definitely done videos talking about stuff like that in the past, and I stand by those. But this was a situation where I wasn't really sure what to do, because this video was brought to my attention by some of my viewers who wanted me to talk about it. What the LaBrant family did in this video was, in my opinion, a genuine mistake. Like, they were just looking to get a pet, and what they did and how they went about it and everything was something that a lot of people do. The way they went about getting this pet was kind of like, I would say, what your average person does that doesn't really know a whole lot about animals. And it's something that I talk about on my channel a lot because it's actually really harmful, but people don't realize it. So what they did was a genuine mistake, in my opinion, and something that I didn't want to bash them for doing necessarily, just because I know that they probably just didn't know better. That's why I wasn't sure about making this video, but then, at the end of the day, I thought showing their video and just going over what they did wrong and the mistakes that they did make, I thought doing that would help other people maybe learn from those mistakes and just help other people kind of see and realize what's wrong here, and maybe people can just help each other learn and not make the same mistakes as this, because we'll get into it, but basically what happened was they were looking to get a pet. They went to Petsmart. I think they originally wanted a dog, but then they decided that since Petsmart didn't have dogs, they were gonna go just get something else. And they didn't really know what they wanted to get, so they were just shopping for a new pet at Petsmart, not really sure what they wanted. They ended up deciding on getting something, and ultimately they relied on the pet store to just tell them how to take care of this animal, and they end up not really knowing how to take care of it, and they act like this animal is super easy and not a big deal, but in reality it's actually a pretty advanced animal and a huge commitment animal. I'm going to elaborate a little more once we actually get into it, but I just wanted to say I'm not attacking the LaBrant family. I'm not trying to be negative or anything like that. I literally just think they made a mistake, and they didn't know what they were doing, which is fine. I'm really just hoping that they can learn from it and maybe correct their care, and hopefully they can actually commit to this animal for life and give it the proper care it needs. They have over 10 million subscribers, so I guess kind of encouraging this kind of impulsive getting a pet and not taking care of it behavior to that many people is just kind of harmful. And I would just hate for any of their 10.5 million subscribers to want to get this pet because they did and because they said that it was an easy, low commitment animal, when in reality, what they ended up getting is one of the most neglected pets people ever get. So, the title of this video is Taking Our 6-Year-Old to the Pet Store and Buying Her Any Pet She Wants. So the title alone is alarming because, like I said, you shouldn't just go into a pet store and not know what you're getting, basically. You should be doing your research and figuring out everything about an animal beforehand. Let's just start watching. I skipped ahead to the part where they actually are at the pet store.
So, no promo at Petsmart, but we do coming and looking at the pets. Whoa.
Look at these, Daddy.
Hold on, I like this guy.
Look at this.
That gecko?
Look at this one down there.
Chameleon.
They're smaller.
Oh, they are hugging each other. Should we get a bearded dragon? Oh, there he is. He's a turtle.
Oh, that turtle's really cute.
That looks pretty cool. Oh, we're getting a snake. Can we get a snake?
Oh, no.
You sure?
No, this is not a snake.
Oh. These are snakes up here. Honestly, they're like little tiny baby snakes.
I want a bird. It can stay in my room.
You would want a bird just to be flying around in your room? In a cage or no cage?
In a cage.
How about...
So you can just kind of see that they're, you know, browsing around. They have no idea what they're gonna get. They're like, oh, should we get a gecko? Should we get a bearded dragon? Should we get a snake? Should we get a bird? I don't know. They literally did not even narrow it down at all before going there. They just went in there and they were like, what are we gonna get today? Which is just not usually a good mindset when you're getting a pet, which is a huge commitment, regardless of what you're getting, because it's a living creature that you need to take care of. But yeah.
So we actually came to Petsmart because we're looking to adopt a new little friend for Carl.
Because Carl's lonely. He needs a little friend out there.
He needs
Or a big friend.
a new little puppy friend. So we came to Petsmart because we know that you can adopt animals from Petsmart, but they only do it on the weekends, and it's not the weekend. So now we're just kind of looking around at all the extra stuff and seeing maybe we'll get a bonus animal for the house.
Yeah, maybe there's another pet that week.
And then we'll hold off on the dog until we...
And really think about what we want for the dog.
Well, because the dog's a big decision.
Yeah, that's a really big
I
decision.
feel like some of the other animals aren't as big of a decision.
But I still want to get something over here.
So what sucks is their whole mindset is they were gonna get a dog, but because they can't get a dog, they just want to bring something else home because they're at the pet store and they need to bring an animal home and they can't bring a dog home. And they act like the other animals at the pet store aren't as big of a commitment as a dog. But in reality, in my opinion, some of the other pets at the pet store are an even bigger commitment than a dog. And the pet they end up choosing actually is a bigger commitment than a dog. But we'll get there.
Which one are you thinking?
Turtle.
A turtle.
Oh, God.
A turtle.
There's only one
Oh,
turtle.
look at these guys.
Oh, they're kissing. Oh.
They just give each other a kiss. You want a turtle?
Yeah.
So I saw a turtle. I think, is this where the turtle is? Yeah. This is your guys' turtle?
You can see where this is going.
He looks like a LaBrant.
He does. How do you know if it's a boy or a girl?
That's a tortoise, by the way. Not a turtle.
You don't know?
You'd have to have someone to check the gender for you.
I love gender reveals. They're my favorite thing in the whole world.
How long do they live?
50 years.
50 years? 50 years. She got it. Be very careful. All right, we're home. Hey, you want to take him out? I guess we have
The big reveal.
What pet we got, but
Here's the big
y'all
reveal.
can take a guess.
Take the box.
Yeah.
Ta-da. Here we go. What we get?
What if he jumps out so fast and
Right on your
I'm
face.
so scared. Are you ready?
Yes.
Oh no, he's gonna jump.
Can you just open the box?
He's gonna jump.
Can you just open the box?
He's so gonna jump.
We got a tortoise.
You guys, this tortoise was $120. He's expensive.
120 bucks. Because guys, listen. The difference between a tortoise and a turtle, we gotta educate. He lives on land, not in
He's
water.
so mad. He's like, where the heck
He's
did I
so
live in
mad.
here?
Yeah, they ended up getting a tortoise, and that is a huge commitment. And tortoises and turtles both are some of the most neglected animals because people bring them home and think they're really easy, but then people don't properly care for them, and they always end up with things like metabolic bone disease and with like deformed shells and things like that because people don't provide them the proper care. But yeah, let's just keep watching and we'll get to kind of see how they choose to care for the tortoise, and then we'll talk about that as well.
But we have a giant, like, flower pot area. It's not a flower pot, but it's like a flower garden area. He's, like, super easy to take care of. I mean, super easy. We don't even know if it's a boy or girl.
They aren't that easy to take care of, but they probably think it's easy because I'm sure the pet store employees made it seem really easy, but they really aren't that easy to take care of, which is why most people end up neglecting them. But yeah.
Because he didn't know. We have to take him to a vet to find out.
I
Where's that?
love gender reveals.
There she is.
I like turtles.
I think you're gonna have to take it out. Give me baby.
You guys are both too scared to take out.
Baby.
Wait, are you for real?
Yeah, I'm scared.
Are you for real?
You got it. You're fine.
Well, no, I'm not.
We're gonna carry him to outside.
I'm not scared. Oh my gosh, this feels weird.
Wow.
Guys, look how big
Look,
this
this is like his big, fun play
Look at
place.
this mansion. Are you kidding me?
Nice
Oh, look at it.
hairstyles.
Hey, hairstyles. Go to your homeboy.
I mean giraffe. I mean Bobby.
Giraffe. That's just so exciting.
This is for a cute turtle.
Because I don't know if you guys heard, he's gonna live. They said that tortoises live. Oh my gosh, he's on the move. To 50 years old. 50 years.
Kelsey literally just dropped her pinky out of her mouth because she thought I was gonna feed her this.
I mean, keeping them in that big thing isn't a terrible idea, but there are a few things that are still wrong with it. The first and foremost, what bothers me about it is it doesn't seem like there's very much coverage from predators. Like, an animal could easily just climb in there and kill the tortoise. So That's my first concern. But aside from that, it's very bare. Like, it's just a big open space with nothing really there and just one hide, like, in the middle. And there's, like, no enrichment or anything for the tortoise to interact with. Like, that is such a boring setup. So, I mean, the size of it isn't bad. And another thing that I wanted to mention that's actually a positive is keeping the tortoise outside. Because, like I said, a lot of people don't provide tortoises with proper lighting. But keeping tortoises outside, if the weather permits, is actually really good. So that's actually a good idea because natural sunlight is really good for tortoises and reptiles in general. So I wanted to include that there is a positive, like they did do something good, which was choosing to keep it outside. I would have been much more concerned if they chose to keep it like in a tank inside with not proper lighting or something, or just a small tank. I think that would have been worse. I think they live in California where it's actually really nice weather, so keeping the tortoise outside in general isn't a terrible idea as long as they set up an actual good enclosure for it. But again, let's continue watching.
Look at her. She wants some tortoise food. The sad thing is that she would probably eat it. Aw, we gotta get another tortoise so that they can have little tortoise babies.
Please don't.
So everybody's still too scared to hold our turtle.
It also just kind of bothers me how they keep calling it a turtle. That's kind of petty of me, but it just bothers me because it's a tortoise and they're just different. I don't know. I'm just being annoying. Never mind.
His legs are so funny. They just like lay back like
I think it's cute. Put him with the food. See if he eats. We got all this dried veggie mix and other disgusting looking food, but oh, he is one.
Yeah, it is disgusting looking food because it's not the proper diet for a tortoise. What's also wrong here is the water dish is tiny. What they should be given is a pretty decent sized water bowl that the tortoise can actually climb into and soak in. It's a really good way for them to cool down if it gets hotter outside. And then the veggie mix and the pellets. In my opinion, tortoises shouldn't really be fed pellets, especially as a staple. It just isn't necessary, and it's not really good for them. And then the dried veggies also isn't good for them. I might be wrong, but I thought you were supposed to rehydrate the dried veggies, which it looks like they just threw some dried vegetables on top without rehydrating. But regardless, dried veggies are not very nutritious for tortoises. When veggies are dried like that, a lot of the nutritional values just depleted from it, and it's much more nutritious for them to just eat fresh veggies. So I'm not sure if they're just being lazy or if the pet store employees just told them dried veggies are fine and it's easier. But they really should be getting fresh vegetables. Dried veggies are not good for them. Also, I forgot to mention almost, they aren't giving it any calcium, it looks like. And normally you would want to sprinkle calcium on there, or a lot of people will even give their tortoises cuttlefish bone, which is a really good source of calcium. If a tortoise is not getting enough calcium, that's one of the things that causes metabolic bone disease, which is what I talked about before, that a lot of people end up accidentally giving their tortoises by neglecting them. They either get metabolic bone disease by not getting enough calcium or not getting proper sunlight or proper lighting. So yeah, that's basically it for their video. So basically my main concerns with it was just how impulsively they bought the tortoise, and you know, they didn't even know what they were getting. They kept calling it a turtle, and they did not give it the proper care. There was, like, nothing in its enclosure. They weren't even giving it a proper diet. Like, it just wasn't good. And honestly, I wouldn't have been mad at them for getting a tortoise necessarily if they had just maybe, like, done research beforehand and then gotten it and taken proper care of it. That would have been fine. So I guess my message here is before you get any animal, please do extensive research. Do not rely on pet store employees to just tell you everything you need to know. Don't just go to the pet store not knowing what animal you're gonna get and just choosing something randomly, because that's just extremely irresponsible. Yeah, it was just extremely alarming to me seeing them do that in front of 10 million subscribers. Like, that just freaked me out, because I feel like the basis of my channel is getting people excited about animals and getting people to want to own them, but also encouraging people to own animals responsibly and put a lot of thought into what they're getting and what they're doing, because what they did is what so many other people do and what most people do, and that's what I'm trying to stop people from doing. So again, no hate to the LaBrant family. They did what so many other people do. They just filmed it and posted it to the internet. And that's just the perfect example of what I talk about all the time, which is people impulsively buying animals and expecting pet store employees to, like, tell them what to do. At the end of the day, pet store employees are not a great source of information, and I'm not saying that to shade them. Like, I've even had pet store employees tell me and comment on my videos that pet stores tell their employees what to tell customers, and they will tell their employees what to tell their customers to buy for certain animals, even if it's not good. You can literally just go on Google and Google care guides, go on forums. People usually do recommendations for different animals and talk about how to care for them on forums, and even watching a lot of YouTube videos is a pretty good way to get a feel for how to care for certain things. But never just rely on one source of information. Never rely on one YouTuber, never rely on one pet store, never rely on one article. Caring for an animal, caring for a living thing, and getting it to actually thrive is not easy. There is a lot of thought that needs to go into it and how you're caring for it. A lot of people just treat animals as accessories or like fun, exciting things that they get and get sick of really quickly. And it's really sad to me. So I would really appreciate it if people would stop doing that. Like I said, a lot of people just do it out of ignorance. And so hopefully I can help educate people, and hopefully you guys can help educate people around you as well and help make people make more informed decisions when it comes to purchasing animals. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I would definitely love to hear from you guys. If you guys found this video to be helpful in any way, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're new here, and check out my social media links, which will be linked down in the description below. And I will see you guys in my next video.